A disclaimer, Tomer mentioned this a little bit earlier on, this is all new, this is all evolving. I'm going to share some of the things that I've seen so far, but I really have no clue what the hell is going on. I think that there's a lot of people after me that are going to share some real tactical in the weeds stuff. But I think anybody right now that tells you that they have a very clear read on exactly what's happening is not the kind of person you want to be listening to. So I think what my goal is here, and as an attendee as well, what I'm really looking for here is to figure out as much as I can, while realizing that tomorrow and next week it's going to be different. I was speaking to Ari, he was speaking a little bit later on yesterday, and I feel like the AI ChatGPT world is one where there's a core update every day, right? And anything that happens today is not going to be the same reality tomorrow. So in case you weren't paying attention when Tomer talked, I'm going to talk a little bit about how to stop worrying a little bit and be okay with AI optimization right now, be okay with what's happening right now, and come to terms with the fact that things are changing, but not everything is necessarily changing. So a quick word of intro, my name is Eytan Buchman. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at a company called Freightos. We're a global freight booking platform. Yes, I do a lot of freight. Also do a ton of SEO work on our website, together with our SEO agency over here, Ari from Kahina, and a bunch of the folks, alum as well. I've been into AI for over 2 years, so before it was cool, but way after a lot of people here probably. And I have not been able to stop thinking about the potential and where it takes us and the doors that it opens up, but also the doors that, that it shuts. So I started off with my depressing intro about that there's a core update and we don't know how to fix it. I'm going to talk a little bit about why you should listen to me in the first place, talk a little bit about what gatekeepers are and then how those gatekeepers are falling apart, talk a little bit about what's next for us as marketers, share a little bit of thoughts about what's happening when it comes to ranking with AI, and then end with some very deep thoughts. So why listen to me? I have a ton of skin in the game. We do we do seven-digit revenue every year purely from SEO and inbound. We have a lot of skin in the game when it comes to SEO. We're in a B2B business, but we have a ton of business that comes in, literally hundreds of businesses that sign up every single day from inbound. We turned off most of our paid advertising about 2 years ago, and it barely made a dent as soon as we realized that it was all coming from SEO. So this is something that I wake up, and it's what keeps me up at night. Like a year ago, I had a very full head of hair. So my big paradigm, right? The big way that I look at this is Google is a gatekeeper. Right, what is a gatekeeper and why does it matter? Gatekeepers are crack for marketers. Gatekeepers are when there's a lot of information, when there's information overload, when somebody is throwing a ton of information at you, a gatekeeper is what naturally evolves in order to curate that information and provide some type of sanity or some type of visibility out of all of that information. And this happens everywhere, and every single marketer spends their entire life trying to figure out who are the gatekeepers that are aggregating my audience, that I can use to get in front of my audience, and who can provide my audience with the credibility to say, hey, listen to that guy. That guy knows what he's talking about. And this happens in every single domain of marketing that you can think of. PR, right? PR is all built around, hey, the New York Times is credible. So you can trust the New York Times if they're talking about their business. It happens in social if there's an influencer who retweets your stuff. It happens with founder-led content, right? There's a buttload of information on LinkedIn, and if you find the right person who you trust, who writes a post about you, people start trusting that. Everything's about finding gatekeepers, right? But gatekeepers die without trust. And when that gatekeeper loses its validity, when it loses its credibility, when you look at that gatekeeper and you say, I don't trust that gatekeeper, there's a better one out there, everything starts to fall apart for that gatekeeper. And people that are in SEO have spent their entire careers building primarily for Google and for Bing. Do I have to say that? Primarily for Google and Bing, really building up a ton of a huge business around, hey, this is a gatekeeper that I need to lean on, and now suddenly that gatekeeper is going away. Now this gatekeeper has always changed, right? So if you look at what AOL was, when AOL first got started, I was very young at the time and mostly enjoyed the CDs that came in the boxes. But when AOL first got started, they were creating all of their content. Everything available on AOL was content that was created by AOL, and that's why they partnered with Time Warner, because Time Warner had a ton more content to add on top of that. So they were a gatekeeper that were only gatekeeping their own content, and they got displaced by, who remembers? Yahoo, exactly. And Yahoo was different because suddenly instead of saying, hey, we're bringing all of our information, Yahoo said, there's a lot of information out there. Let me create a directory. Let you figure out who are the right people to listen to by cataloging the entire internet. right? And they were a more effective gatekeeper because there was way more information there. It wasn't just what AOL wanted to tell you. And finally, Google came around and said, hey, I don't need to give you a link of a directories. I can curate all of the information on the entire internet, and I'll do that using PageRank. I'll do it using some algorithm that can figure out which pages are better based on what the internal link structure and the external link structure looks like. And that was a tectonic shift. But it wasn't just a shift because this is a way to curate all the information. It was a shift because as a gatekeeper, they were the first that were using algorithms as gatekeeping. And if they were using algorithms to gatekeep the information, we all look at those algorithms and we say, hey, we can reverse engineer those. And we can figure out how to game that gatekeeper. And for a long time, it actually worked out. But now we can say, well, what if Google's entire premise is, yeah, create helpful, reliable, and people-first information, right? But we know that they're using algorithms to do that. What if there was a programmatic way to actually determine, is information helpful? Is it reliable? Is it people-first? And that's exactly what ChatGPT came along and said, right? ChatGPT said, I, as an LLM, have a far better capacity to look at all this information and figure out, is this actually credible information? Is this information that is really helping? So this is a screenshot from our website. I don't know why I blurred it. I really didn't need to. There's a couple of thousand hits every single week coming to us from ChatGPT. Not a huge amount, but it's something that's slowly gathering steam. That said, all of our AI together, I believe, is still less than 1% of our traffic. That doesn't, I think, right? I'm looking a little bit more than 1% of our traffic. That said, 1% is still real, and more important than the 1% or the 2% is the fact that the trajectory, the curve, is going up. Right? And this is really hard from an SEO perspective. This makes it really difficult to figure out how much effort should I put as a chief marketing officer, how much effort should I put into SEO? Because when my name shows up in some type of ranking, I don't know how many people are actually looking at that and believing it. I don't know how many people are actually turning that into something actionable. And certainly from a content creation perspective, most content, let's face it, most content right now is commoditized. Unless you're creating something that is very good, ChatGPT could probably do it better with the right prompts. And that's really hard. It makes my entire premise of content marketing shaken. My entire idea of I can create content that educates people, I can get a gatekeeper to promote it, I can get people to my business and I can make money out of them, that entire foundation is suddenly changing. I think most companies know this. Most media publications know it. This is a partial list of the publications that have licensed content in one way or another to AI models. Right? They know that they were dependent on SEO, and it's time for them to start figuring out who else should I be giving content to in order to make sure that my business can survive this, because this is a really big change. More so, this entire idea of like trust to get on, we don't know what to trust anymore. And I'm sure almost every single person here read this article by HouseFresh. If you didn't, you definitely should. There's this entire breakdown of affiliate marketing within the SEO world and all the large PEs that are purchasing large publications that are kind of on their way out and just using it to create affiliates. So this is Better Homes and Garden and Popular Science that are ranking for best air purifier for pet air, even though why the hell would Popular Science write about that? It's because people saw that Google is a gatekeeper and they can game it, and now when you search for something, more times than not, you don't actually trust what the results are that you're getting. And that leaves a huge opening for ChatGPT. The good news is this won't happen overnight, although sometimes it does. This is HubSpot. I think everybody has seen this. HubSpot's SEO traffic over the past couple of months. I think everybody saw this going around on LinkedIn. It happens really slowly, and then suddenly it happens really quickly. And you see the total number of domains are continuing to grow as well, besides towards the end of the year, seasonality, blah, blah, blah. So what can we do about it? So I think that when I look at AI, I still look at it right now, ChatGPT, Perplexity, whatever it is, I look at it as a differentiator between brand and between on-site conversions. Right? There's two very different worlds where if I'm only looking for brand, I don't mind if I'm showing up in Perplexity or if I'm showing up in ChatGPT. But if I actually need to get conversions out of it, I really need people to come to my website, and I'm not always necessarily going to be able to attribute the right people that come to that specific channel. For now, what I'm seeing, and I think what probably most people here are seeing, is that when it comes to ranking for ChatGPT or ranking for Perplexity, standard SEO rules still apply. And we have not done anything dramatically different in order to accommodate AI yet, but we still have very strong rankings. And that's because the fundamentals of SEO is exactly what most of these companies, what ChatGPT and what Perplexity are looking at. Obviously, that also holds true for like having accessible, structured listicles that ChatGPT can access very easily. A super, super, super long tail of natural language queries. Suddenly, you're going to have ChatGPT sending in queries that no human has ever typed into Google before, because they're taking a much larger paragraph and turning it into something much more specific. And finally, variable data. Right? The more information changes, the more the chatbots are going to look at your content and say, hey, I need to make sure that I'm mentioning that person because they have very, very accurate recent data. For now, this came to me courtesy of Tomer and MI on AI. For now, Freightos is cleaning up in this, right? So we're outranking FedEx when it comes to showing up in natural language queries on ChatGPT. We are outranking Reddit from a domain authority perspective when it comes to people that are searching for freight-related stuff. And this isn't just a flex, this is to say that we haven't done anything dramatically different for AI. But AI is continuing to use the SEO equity that took 10 years to build up, but continuing to use it in order to decide who gets to show up first. When it comes to on-site, when it comes to making sure that people come back to your website, not just see you and see the brand mentioned perplexity, what I'm seeing is that there is a difference. This is a scatter plot of my top 150 landing pages when it comes to what ChatGPT is sending me versus the top 150 from organic traffic. And there is some correlation, but you can look at this chart and you can see it's not really a one-for-one correlation. Or if you want to get really, really geeky, the Pearson's correlation for the top 150 results that we have basically show that in general there's a moderately strong correlation between the rankings, but it does not hold true, and it doesn't necessarily hold true when you go further down. So for now, SEO and LLMs are correlated, right? For now, they're working in the same general direction, but they might not always. Two really interesting things that stuck out for me while looking at the results. If I look at the top 10 results for ChatGPT traffic that are coming to our website, the first is that languages are ranking really, really well. Right, which I think is an interesting insight for me and something that I want to keep on looking into. And the second thing is calculators. Calculators, tools on our website, and Kahina also played a really big role in this, and Shlomo, as I was here, played a really, really large role in doing this. Making sure that you have interactive content on your website that ChatGPT knows that it can't provide and needs to refer people to your website is the way to continue to build out this, traffic. Long story short, owned right now is the best way to build up your audience. And you need to make sure that every single person that comes to your website is leaving their email, because you don't know when ChatGPT and when Google is going to turn off the tap for you. We find hacks for any gatekeeper that emerges, and that's why we can't have nice things as marketers. But I do think that the big picture is that we need to actually trust to some extent that the gatekeepers are getting better. And that eventually we need to go back. We need to continue to focus on SEO. We need to continue to focus on the technical optimization. But a big part of this is that we need to make sure that we are delivering content that is helpful and reliable and people first. And they both go hand in hand. But I strongly believe that SEO as a way to game Google with crappy content is not going to last for a long time. This advice expires when agents really start popping out, because as soon as an agent can come to your website and use an interactive calculator, we're all screwed. So long story, let me wrap it up because I'm getting calls from Tomer. The bad gatekeepers are definitely disappearing. There's better ones that are coming out to play. We as marketers need to earn it. We need to have the right tactical foundation, the technical foundation, but the content is really what it's all about. That was 10 minutes. Thank you, everybody.